Hello, my name is Michael with Entertain Me TV Show Reviews, and this is the review for Dual Survival Season 3 Episode 10, Rocky Mountain High. I know that I'm a little late into the Dual Survival season, but as they say, better late than never, right? Hope you enjoy the following review. If that's the case, be sure to subscribe for more upcoming reviews. Thanks in advance. In this episode of Dual Survival, Joe and Cody are stranded at nearly 10,000 feet in the freezing snow-covered mountains in Colorado, where temperatures reach as low as minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Outdoors instructor Cody Lundeen and 20-year-old Special Ops veteran Joe Tedder, two guys with two completely opposing survival tactics, show how to stay warm, stay hydrated, and stay alive in one of the coldest spots in North America. The Rocky Mountains stretch across America for over 3,000 miles, from the northernmost part of British Columbia to southern New Mexico, with some peaks reaching up more than 14,000 feet above sea level. Winter months in the southern ranches of Colorado bring an average of 38 inches of snow, with average low temperatures hovering around negative 7 degrees Fahrenheit. Conditions like these can be fatal to anyone caught unprepared in the Rockies' icy ranges. Now, Cody and Joe will play out the scenario of two guys who have been printed directions taking them on to an impassable snow-covered road, leaving them stuck in the middle of the frozen wilderness at over 9,000 feet above sea level. To make matters worse, one of the pair leaves the safety of the car to find help and becomes lost. An all too common occurrence and often a deadly mistake. Cody is the guy that left the truck to find help, and his goal now is to find high ground and try to see if he can spot Joe. Cody is having trouble moving in the deep snow as he sinks into it as he walks. He's only wearing socks, which do not stop him from sinking into the snow. Cody has been walking without shoes for over a decade. Now, Cody wants to improvise a pair of snowshoes made from pine branches. He's burning through too many calories operating in the deep snow without any snowshoes. Joe, on the other hand, is taking the role of the guy who stayed behind in the car, which is stuck in deep snow. Joe's main priority is to get Cody back to his location, as Cody would not survive a night alone in these low hardcore temperatures. Joe gives off 3 bursts of the car's horn. 3 is the international distress signal. As sounding a horn has no effect, Joe switches plans and decides to build a signal fire for Cody to see. Joe finds some jumper cables in the back of the car, which he knows will aid him in starting a fire, as there is still power on the battery. Cody constructs his makeshift snowshoes out of living pine branches. The idea of the snowshoes is to get more surface area, which will prevent Cody from sinking into the knee-deep snow. With an ignition sword secured, Joe starts to gather firewood for the signal fire. Joe stresses that you have to be careful not to start sweating in these cold conditions, since water extracts heat from the human body 20 times faster than air of the same temperature. Joe extracts gas from the fuel filter into a cut-out piece of the car seat, which hopefully should take a spark quickly. Cody's makeshift snowshoes fails him, and he is forced to go back into his bare socks, which once again makes him sink in the deep snow. After numerous attempts with the jumper cables, Joe finally ignites the car seat, soaked in gasoline. Now Joe has to create a massive amount of smoke for Cody to see from a distance. But white smoke doesn't go well with the snow. Joe needs contrast against this white snow, and for that he uses a car tire. Car tires are made of rubber, and when burnt, rubber creates a black smoke, which is perfect contrast against the white background. But before burning the tire, Joe pokes a hole in it, allowing the air out. The tire explodes when burned if this is not done. Cody has now reached the highest hill around him, and he has a clear 360-degree circle which he can see, but there's nothing to see, only loads of pine forest around. Cody eventually sees smoke from down within the pine trees, which is clearly seen against the green-white background. He starts heading downhill towards the smoke and eventually reunites with Joe. The car still has a quarter of the tank fuel, and the heater in it works as well. This makes for their shelter for the night. Cody will attempt to insulate the front seats as much as possible so that the heater doesn't have to warm up a large areas inside the car. At night in the Rockies, temperatures can drop to as low as minus 30 degrees Fahrenheit. If left unprotected in conditions like this, the human body will ultimately succumb to hypothermia, in which a person's core temperature falls below 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Cody wants to focus the heat from the heater around Joe and himself by stripping the back end of the car for any foaming seating, which he will use to create a wall behind him, thus making the space inside the car smaller. An often overlooked threat in the cold survival scenarios is dehydration. In these frigid conditions, a person can lose up to 2 quarts of water per day by just breathing, as moisture is forced from the lungs from each breath. Fresh snow contains only 10% water, so large amounts have to be eaten and melted inside the body in order to stave off dehydration, further depleting the body of heat and calories. Cody and Joe discuss cannibalism and whether they actually would eat human flesh in order to stay alive. Cody is not against it, but hopefully it won't come to that point, Joe points out. As the sun sets behind the mountains, Cody and Joe retreat to the car for shelter. They leave the lights on the car on so that they can be spotted in the darkness of the night. As the sun rises again, Joe tries turning on the car, but it won't start as they have used all the gas. Now Joe and Cody has to find a new shelter which will keep them warm at night. They decide to recon the area around the car, as they don't want to leave the car behind, because that's usually the first that is found by search and rescue. Joe stumbles upon a mine which was abandoned a long time ago. In the late 1800s, thousands of miners came to the Rockies in search for gold, silver, and other minerals. The remnants of the abandoned mine site still litters the mountains today. There's an approximately 60-year-old outhouse close to the mine entrance, which they decide to use for shelter. They plan to tip it over and open the door so that they can reflect heat from a fire into the outhouse. Cody and Joe head on back to the car and strip it for anything they can use: wire from the engine, foam, car seating, carpets, mirrors, and other useful materials. They take the hood off the car and use it as a sled to transport everything back to the old abandoned mine, to save them from having to make multiple trips, which burns more calories. They manage to push the outhouse over on the side without breaking it into firewood. Using snow as insulation is a practice traditionally employed by native North Americans who built snow shelters called quincees. In sub-zero temperatures, this snow can keep the shelter's interior around 20 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Cody and Joe pack snow as insulation against the back wall and the sides of the outhouse. Cody further insulates the outhouse with car seating on the inside, while Joe plugs any cracks in the roof with seating as well. Joe goes back to the car to retrieve an ember from the fire so that they can make a new fire in front of the outhouse. Meanwhile, Cody gathers firewood. Now, Cody and Joe both have shelter and fire. Priority now is to signal for rescue. They can't walk out, so they have to bring people to them. They come upon a rather large field, but it turns out to be a frozen pond. If the water is still, they should be good, but if it's moving water, they have to be careful. Their plan is for Cody to carve out an X in the field and then fill the trenches with pine. When walking on ice-covered water, a long wooden or metal pole can be used to probe areas well in advance of stepping on them. Any signs of water can be an indicator that the ice is unsafe to walk on. Cody stumbles upon moving water beneath the snow, a small distance into the field. Still water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, but moving water requires much colder temperatures to solidify. This makes ice formed over flowing water particularly thin and dangerous. Cody starts working on the eggs in the snow. He's counting his paces so there's symmetry from the air. As nature is not symmetrical, the eggs will stand out more. Cody finishes the eggs and they lay green pine in the trenches to create contrast against the white snow. With a static signal in place, priority shifts to gathering enough firewood to battle nighttime temperatures will fall to minus 30 below 0 Fahrenheit. As Cody is gathering firewood, he he finds a dead beaver below a log. It appears to only have been laying for about 24 hours, and because it's frozen solid, they don't have to worry about the meat being spoiled. They bring the beaver back to the shelter area, where Joe really battles to take its tail off so that they can eat it. They cook the beaver tail. Cody appears to like the taste of it, but Joe on the other hand is not so fond of it. The next morning though, Joe seems to like the beaver leg more than he did the tail. Cody crafts a flag from his red bandana, and soon after that they hear a plane in the distance. They rush to the field where they built a huge X the previous day. Cody waves the flag at the plane while Joe shines the mirror. The plane dips its wing to signal that it has indeed spotted them. Joe quotes, "Every battle is won before it's fought," which means be prepared for situations like this. So this was the review for Dual Survival Season 3, Episode 10, Rocky Mountain High. If you want to follow along on reviews, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions to TV shows that I could review, feel free to leave a comment on my channel or in this video. Thanks for listening.